Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Nyktophobia to the Stars on July 5th on Apostasy Records. The album has 9 tracks, 39 minutes in length, and this is the band's 4th full-length studio album. They are a German melodic death metal band. As far as the design of this record goes, I think you're going to find an album that is very fluid, that offers a great sense of continuity from track to track, almost like each and every single song is passing the baton to the next song that follows, which adds playability to the overall experience of listening to this album, but it also makes the record feel a little bit less compact, less together, less cohesive than what it actually is. 9 songs, 39 minutes, you need to create some movement, and there's not a lot of room for it. So the movement that you're going to discover on this album is not necessarily created by the difference of sounds from song to song, but rather by the emotions that the sound creates, track in and track out. An album that gives you the most out of each and every single individual journey that the songs put forward, but with each and every single song, the overall path and the overall image of this record becomes more and more clear. As far as the sound is concerned, this is a heavy melodic record. Those two don't necessarily intertwine. I felt like there was quite a separation between them, but that's the beauty of the record, and that's what gives this album a lot of character and even a lot of texture. If you look at the heavier side of the album, you obviously have to look at the vocal performance, but you also have to look at the drums. The drums on this record are up front, and because they are up front and not in the back, you feel that the heaviness starts with them. They are the drivers, they are the igniter, they are the spark of the heavier side of the sound on this record. It's not to say that the guitars are not heavy on the album, but the guitars kind of come dragged in by that drum sound because of how the drums sit within the overall mix of this album. It's a lot easier to see the impact or notice the impact of the guitars on the melodic side because they're a little bit distant from that heavier sound and they travel in a much thinner way. While the heavier side of the album has some volume, it never really becomes dense and it never really becomes thick because the melodic side dilutes that experience and makes the album slightly more balanced, easier to digest, easier to process, easier to engage with as far as an overall sound experience is concerned. And I really enjoy that melodic side a lot because that emotion, that experience that I was talking about earlier in terms of creating the ebbs and flows in the design, it's really represented well with that more melodic guitar sound and even some of the keys. This is a record that always uses the same formula, song in and song out, as far as where the elements are within the mix. It's not like you're going to find a song where the drums are in the back, another song where the drums are in the front, or a song where the vocals are in the forefront, a song where the vocals are in the middle. Everything is always in the right place and in the same place at all times. But the way they present themselves, the way the sound hits your ears, it reminds you of specific emotions. It brings certain emotions into the forefront, and that's where the album creates its movement, and that's where the album creates its own individual fingerprint with each and every single song. Not by changing the sound, not by offering a diverse approach, but rather by giving a diverse experience with these songs using the same balanced sound approach throughout. Now the vocals have the harsher side, the more deeper side, and also the more screaming side. These two are really important because they offer or they help define the different experiences and the different momentums within the songs and even the different emotions that you can find within those different momentums within the songs. The consistency that they have is that they always feel a little bit deep in the mix. Obviously, the harsher, the deeper ones feel deeper because of the nature of the sound, the nature of the delivery, the nature of the tone. The screaming vocals always tend to jump up a little bit more, and when they jump up a little bit more with that heavier sound at the forefront, the two become a lot closer. So this is creating movement within the song, and movement coming out of the vocals really creates a lot of texture, a lot of richness to the way you present the track and the way the listener will enjoy that song. I felt like the vocal style and the vocal approach on this record not only matched the individual song constructions, it got the most out of the lyrical content, out of the individual journeys of the songs. It felt at times there was more of a storytelling, sometimes was a little bit more in the first person, if you will. This is a record that uses the vocals in a very subtle way in order to tell really important moments as you navigate through all of these 9 songs. So great vocal performance. I like the approach in the mix as well, because it allows for that movement that I feel is really key and really important. Overall, when you put this whole package together, you have a very underrated band that is perhaps the most Finnish sounding German band ever on the face of this planet. And this record has so much quality in it, but it's done in such a subtle way that I feel like if you're not paying attention to this album, you're gonna miss it. You're really gonna miss a lot of key elements and a lot of key points that make this album stand out from those around it. Such high level of quality, such high level of execution, but once again done in such a subtle way, allows this to be an outstanding record as far as melodic death metal is concerned. It really stands on its own. You don't see a lot of bands taking this specific approach and making it work, and these guys definitely did that. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with To the Stars. The melodic side of the track is haunting. It creates that sense of going somewhere, of leaving something and going somewhere, and that's where the feeling of being a haunting melody comes from, because the unknown could be scary. And on this track, there's a little bit of that, of leaving your comfort zone, going towards the unknown, that comes from that more melodic side of this track, which that same melody also has almost a futuristic feel to it, or at least it feels very futuristic in how it comes across. The drums are heavy, and the drums being heavy in the forefront push the melody forward as well, separated but forward. This creates this heavy presence, but a heavy presence that's never really thick, that it doesn't overburden the listener. It allows you to really be able to see all the different pieces of this puzzle very clearly. Now, the vocals add to the heaviness more often than not, and the more melodic side of the guitars help stretch out the track. It's a really nice way of putting everything together to create heaviness, melody, allowing the two to coexist, creating the soundtrack of a nightly sky filled with stars. It's how this song kind of comes about, you looking at the unknown and taking some steps into it. And that, like I said earlier, it could be scary, and this song really represents that well through sound, creating that image and creating that emotional experience. There's a melodic bridge on this track that helps reset the song, but the track never goes too far from it. It comes right back into the beginning. It's almost like that moment where you take the leap, where you jump from a sense of perhaps safety into the unknown. That melodic bridge represents that leap extremely well. Great track all around. Next we have Farewell. This is the following track from To the Stars, and Farewell is a song that musically, the two songs are very well intertwined with one another. You really feel like there's this complete sense of continuity between the two tracks, and the melodic essence that starts off this song brings some darkness with it, and allows the track sound-wise to become a little heavier. The drums obviously add to that heaviness, the guitars also add to that heaviness, but there's still some pockets of melody that bring some melancholy with it. And this creates sonic ebbs and flows throughout the entire song, with a lot of ups and downs, with the more heavier moments of the track really jolting you, waking you up almost from the dullness that comes in with a more melodic, melancholic sound that exists within the track as well. It's an interesting song because it's a song that never feels constant, that never sounds constant, that doesn't give you a constant emotion out of it. It has different pockets, different momentums. You feel differently depending on where you are within the track. So it's a track that has a lot to offer, and it feels very volatile while staying very compact and very balanced and even cohesive throughout. It's designed in a way that all the different pieces follow perfectly one another, allowing the song to not feel chaotic at any given time. Last but not least, The Fall of Eden. I really enjoy this track because it starts off with the heavier sound, almost pushing the song forward. So when the song gets heavy, the song feels faster. When the song becomes more melodic, it becomes more methodic as well. So it changes speeds. Heaviness on this track doesn't slow it down. It actually speeds it up, which is a nice change and a nice element that the song brings to the surface. And having that more melodic sound that normally tends to be a little bit faster, a little bit slower, it's also a nice touch. I like how vocals on this track feel very dynamic, and I really enjoyed see the two sides of the coin on this track vocally coming together to add great quality to the way the track is put, the way the track is built. I think it's a sad song. It has a sense of sadness, a sense of a finality to it, that it's perhaps represented better not only through the sound but through the heavier side of the vocals. It's not easy to get emotions out of heavy vocals, but you really feel that on this song. Almost a sense of just giving up. The screaming side of the vocals on this track almost look or try to reach for hope. I don't think hope is there. It's not a song that feels very hopeful at all. But it's a song that finishes almost as an example of how the track feels. It finishes off on a melodic tone and then it ends very, very abruptly. The end is not always dragged out. Sometimes things end and they end quickly, and this song kind of builds towards it and then it finishes off exactly with that way of representing it, that finale. And I really enjoy that track because of it, because after feeling different things and after always having a sense that the end is near, when the end finally comes, it comes quick. And this song musically represents that sort of thought process perfectly from start all the way to the finish line. This is it, Nyktophobia to the Stars, on July 5th on Apostasy Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you all at the next album review. Take care, guys.